Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with Alexander Turbin. This week we're doing Texas Chainsaw Samurai from Samurai Funnies, and it was published by Solson Publications. They're the ones that did Reagan's Raiders. Um, but before I get into that, I want to show you the comics that help support the channel. And I do Random Access, which is a 12-page, full color, full size comic book that I send out to patrons every month for $2 each month. So if you just spend $2 a month, you get a 12-page full color comic book. So I usually have backup covers, backup stories by various artists and stuff, and different um, stories and whatnot. You can also get these at alexanderturbin.com. That has all of my random access, as well as Mutandis and collections of stories from random access, and some of the things that weren't in there, like the Forlorn and some stuff like that. Um, so this week is the Texas Chainsaw Samurai. Um, this was written by John Waliski, and Phil Clark Jr., with the art by Tom Daughtry for the first 8 pages, and Chuck Witowskis for the rest of the book. I'm terribly sorry for destroying your name like that. If anybody could let me know how it's pronounced in the comments, I'd appreciate it. Um, so the first thing you see is it's obviously a parody and of Ronin and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I wouldn't say Ronin per se, but just samurai stuff in general. And but this cover is definitely deeply inspired by Ronin, I would say, and or Lone Wolf and Cub. It was done in 1986, and Ronin was in 83, 84. So yeah, it definitely takes it from its. That's the roots of the book. I don't really like all the red, just the red and white and pink. I feel like it could have been a little different. I know they're going for the scary, blood, gory kind of thing, and that's prevalent in lots of horror magazines and comics and stuff like that. And I suppose it does its job. I just think I would have much preferred I don't know, a more in-depth, full color comic, I guess. Um, I'm not really entirely sure what to expect from this book, or I didn't. It because it's obviously a funny, supposed to be a funny parody, um, but it's got some good stuff in it too. So it kind of deviates from what it originally wants to be. The inside front cover is a an interview, not an interview, but a synopsis of Chuck Witowski and Phil Clark, who are writers and artists for the Samurai Funnies. I guess they overlook whatever Samurai Funnies they do, which the next episode or issue is Samurai and Friday the 13th. So they're sticking with the samurai and horror genre. Um, so you start out with a samurai uh, wandering through the United States. I assume it's the United States. Um, and he kind of is just hitchhiking through the states. And that's the first few pages. And then after that, it gets to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre part, where it has the beginning of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as probably most of you know, is the a scene inside a VW bus, um, VW van rather, and it just has all of these characters talking about different dialogue and stuff. The dialogue and the writing and the script are really top notch. They introduced little nuanced things, like one of the characters is deaf, and so one of the other characters kind of makes fun of him in a lighthearted way. He's not really too mean, so it's just kind of something to get the girls, give him a hard time about. So they're driving along. Excuse me. Um, one of the characters has inherited a mansion, not a mansion, a a cottage or some sort of house out in the woods, um, by their uncle. So they stop for gas, and one of them bumps into a biker, his bike, and so the biker gets all pissed off, and he's gonna beat up one of the characters, and a couple other bikers join in, and they're all gonna kick their asses. Um, but then the samurai shows up, and here's the Reagan Raiders. And the samurai doesn't like the looks of it, so he decides to intervene, and he beats up on the bikers, and during doing so, his staff is destroyed. So he's sad. So apparently, they offer him a ride. That's done off of panel. Um, and there's some more dialogue between the samurai and the kids going to their camp or whatever it is that they're doing, and they just kind of go through and establish some of the characters and stuff. They end up at the house, and there's no electricity there, so they're camping outside, and one of them gets mad, and it's all, pretty cool stuff, pretty cool writing, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I was anticipating that it was going to be kind of a slog to read. I don't really remember reading it back in 86 when I got it, or I must have got it in 87. um, but no, I probably got it off the newsstand, because I wouldn't go in the back issues and get this really isn't kind of my thing. So yeah, two of the couples, or one of the couples, goes off into the woods, and it's leading up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff, and they find a house, and there a chainsaw starts, because chainsaws are scary, and there's more dialogue, more script of just the characters wondering where the other two have gone off to, and what's going on. So the samurai decides to go off and look for one of the friends, two of the friends, worried that they're in trouble, and it's pretty cool. So then we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre part, where one of the guys who comes out of the woods has a chainsaw, and he's chasing the kids around and making a hullabaloo. And as he's about to get the chainsaw and get the kids, the samurai interrupts him with his staff, which breaks again. And he's fighting with the samurai, and it kind of cuts out, and you don't know what happens. And then you see a panel of the kids being strung up like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, those scenes, and you see a whole bunch of T-shirts, and this guy with the chainsaw, and he's complaining about the T-shirts and the cool little sayings and stuff that they have, and that's gonna foreshadow what happens later on. So they all bust in, or one of the other characters busts in, trying to stop the chainsaw guy, and he chases her out and around, and she ends up finding a police officer, and the police officer takes her back to the house to investigate what has happened. And we're doing some more chainsaw stuff. It's a cool three-panel thing where the chainsaw is cutting through the wood to get the the character. I'm not sure if that was actually in the movie. So, and then the samurai busts in, and he has the chainsaw. He must have taken it from the other guy, and he's gonna try to stop this other chainsaw wielding maniac, supposedly. And they go through a fight scene where the samurai fights the chainsaw guy, and the sheriff shows up with the other character, and they stop the whole thing. And the chainsaw wielding guy is really a tailor who's just been run out of business by the t-shirt manufacturing industry, and he's just very upset. The t-shirts are taking over the tailoring business, and so he says he's sorry, and they kind of just take off. The ending is very Scooby-Doo-ish. Here's the samurai, the Friday the 13th, and some more ads for other comics that they have. So let's go into the art first. The first 8 pages like I said, are done by Tom Daughtry, and he's pretty good. He's not spectacular. There's definitely some things that I wish he had done a little bit differently. He it looks like he uses some reference for this sports car, and his facial expressions are pretty nice, and his detailed. There's not really a lot of background that can be had in the desert, I imagine. So so it's pretty good. It's pretty minimalist, but it's pretty decent. Um, I wish he had done a little bit more research in the van, inside the exterior and the interior. It's a little plain. It feels like it just was from either his imagination or just what he knew of vans. And it's kind of what I do, and I really should not do that. I should use some more reference for interior of cars, because you're going to find, if you're a comic book artist, that you're going to be doing the interior of vehicles a lot. So you might as well really get into it. It's just kind of like horses. You're going to do horses a lot. So you might as well learn the anatomy of horses. One thing, I don't know if this is the writer's fault or the illustrator's fault. You have this panel where you just see the character, and two people are talking to each other off of the panel, which I don't really understand. Why not just make this character one of the people talking? It kind of breaks immersion, which is one of the things I always talk about, is immersing yourself in the comic, because uh, comics, I think, are more immersive than books, and maybe not so much as movies, because you don't have the movement and the sound. But I mean, it's more immersive than books, because you can see exactly what it is. And if it's a good comic, you're just going to just be immersed in it nonstop. Some of these facial expressions are really nice. I don't understand the background. It's a little too much, in my opinion, especially with the helmet. Maybe if the helmet had been white, and then it could have had contrasted the background. Um, but it's credibly done. A nice action scene where the samurai attacks the bikers. Everything flows very naturally, and stuff. I kind of wish there was a little bit more background. Um, but the facial expressions are good. The figures are nice. Everything flows nicely. So I really have no complaints about that. But then it switches to Chuck West, and I am horribly sorry I destroyed his name. Um, but he does a lot more, has a lot more reference for his van, both interior and exterior. The inker, it might have been the inker was a little bit more, because his inker was Scott Gladfelter, and the inker for Tom was Steve Pasternak. So it might have been the inkers, because there's a much nice flower line work to the Chuck's pages. Um, but like, the art is very nice. Um, you've got nice blacks in the background. You've got nice lighting. You've got very nice texture and figure work. Everything's very expressive. Um, so, and this is good. The lettering with the buzzing of the saw. You can never discount good lettering. But here's nice shadows, nice figures. I love how the light is on this side and the dark is on that side, because it's a flashlight going up. And and you've got nice foregrounds, background, midground in almost all of these. So you've got a foreground and a background, characters, uh, foreground, background. Whenever you do that, it adds depth and it adds immersion to the comic. Um, Here's, you've got your foreground of the window, you've got the medium ground of the characters, and then the background of the attacking chainsaw. So all of these are great. I think the art is way better than I thought it was going to be, and it could have been. Um, Once you kind of dig into it and look at it, if you're just kind of spinning through it through the on the rack or whatever it is, you might not notice some of the details. It kind of, black and white can kind of uh, blend all together. But when you dig into the nice panel work and the flow of the story and the good narrated art and the figures and the nice use of blacks, it really all comes together as a good comic. Um, nice figures, nice faces, expressions. Good panel work with, like I said before, the 3 panels. This could have probably been 1 panel, but either way, it worked great. I don't like the arrow. I do it. I've done it sometimes. I try to stay away from it. If you're doing the arrow, you're doing something wrong. Um, and I know that sometimes you have to do it, but it's you're not using your full narrative art abilities if you're using the arrow. Nice splash page. I think, is that the only splash page except for the very beginning? Yeah, that's not a splash page, but yeah, I think that's the only splash page. And anyway, it's a really nice book, illustrated wise. The story is really pretty ho hum. Uh, like I said, it's not really my thing, the whole parody thing. Um, but it's very tightly scripted, tightly dialogue. Everybody is very believable in what they say and how they say it. They're teenage kids. They act like teenage kids. The samurai is he's a samurai. He acts and talks like a samurai would, or I imagine a samurai would. Um, so yeah, I would say this is a good, solid comic. Much better, I think, than what you would think of this kind of thing. Here's more advertisements for their comics. Um, so yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Samurai, I would give a solid 8. Yeah, which is kind of better than I first thought that I would give it, because when you're young, you kind of it jumps out, something jumps out at you, and for some reason you might grab something that you normally wouldn't. Maybe it was a low Marvel DC month week, or whatever, but I picked it up, and it's a nice fun read. It's much better than I originally thought it was going to be. So yeah, a good solid 8 for the Texas Chainsaw Samurai. And thanks a lot for watching. And if you like the content, and if you like more reviews of older comics that some other people are not doing, then consider subscribing and hitting the like button and all of that stuff. And I will see you next week.